This is why I don't believe in ideological prescriptions when it comes to ascribing motive, why either it be good or bad to any group, really. It's because when police officers do something good, like what happened with Michaela Bryant there in the first video of the day, and then you got these asshole police officers. Ontario Police Department. Officer shoves a 12-year-old boy to the ground while enforcing COVID restrictions. I cannot get behind officers who are enforcing these draconian policies that don't fucking work. Lockdowns don't work. Kids walking in the park don't need to be flung to the ground. We're going to watch the video right here. Once again, this is just my opinion. I didn't want to taint you to begin with, but there is only one way to describe this, and despicable is the only term that comes to mind. So I've got it moved. It's actually, you know what? We're going to full screen this. Yep, you can see. We're just going to go ahead and reverse that. Yep, shoves him right to the ground, knocks him off of his scooter. I don't know why or how you can justify that other than you're a power hungry dickhead. Okay, so maybe the kid was being a smartass. Okay, I'm just gonna try to run through everything in my head that we could possibly ascribe to this situation. Kid might have been being a lippy dickhead. Okay, maybe he was doing something beforehand. I see one car there. Maybe he was peering in the windows. Listen, I'm trying to be as absolutely thorough as possible. He could have fit the description of somebody who was vandalizing something down the way. Listen, this is as extreme as I can get. But outside of that, going to a skate park, that's probably all he was doing. He was on the sidewalk before he got fucking bodied to the ground by Big Boy here. There, I got the kid in mid-flight. 2 police officers there. One comes in from the side, like you guys see here. It's all because COVID restrictions are you can't go to a skate park. I think I showed you guys the very despicable pictures, and I couldn't be asked to pull them up right now, but I believe it was in Ontario as well, and they were sanding ice rinks, okay? People being outside, not allowed to congregate in public spaces because the coof is going to, pop out from the bushes and come and kill you. Okay, just because they're so terrified, or it's a part of, we're just following the rules, we're just doing our job, wearing your mask outside. There's nothing more despicable than when I'm out and I'm exercising and I see people walking alone. That's even more despicable. You can kind of understand it. If it's 2 elderly people walking side by side, they're outside, they're getting exercise, but for whatever reason, they haven't built up in their head that they are, so immunocompromised, that they could catch it outside, and they don't have access, and they can't be asked to figure out how to turn on a computer in order to figure out that asymptomatic spread and transmission outside, and those numbers are absolutely in the toilet, and that UV light kind of does a number on the virus. They don't know that because the 9 o'clock or the 11 o'clock news or the 6 o'clock news doesn't tell them that. Whatever, you can kind of grant them a pass, but when you have cops outside who are at least strong enough to knock over a 12-year-old boy, when they're outside walking around with their fucking masks on, you got absolutely no sympathy from me. Okay? I will not have those police officers back one bit unless something as asinine and something as absurd as what I previously tried to grasp at with Stretch Armstrong level reach. Unless something like that pops out, like this kid is just some mastermind and he's maybe he's just a midget jewel thief, but I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. So after seeing some shocking footage, I'd properly characterize it that, even though Rebel News tends to be hyperbolic sometimes. I think that's pretty shocking to see some asshole in a fucking face diaper knock a kid off his Razor scooter like a high school linebacker running over a pee-wee football, the running back. An officer of the Ontario Provincial Police officer shoving a 12-year-old boy to the ground at a local community centre on Sunday. You made the trip to Gravenhurst, Ontario to investigate further myself. I believe Gravenhurst is in the GTA area. Now, like I said, Ontario is a big fucking place. I didn't say that in this video. I've said it before. Ontario is a big place. Northern Ontario is way different than Southern and Eastern Ontario. Southern and Eastern Ontario might as well be a different province than Western and Northern Ontario. Western Ontario seems to have their shit together. Same with the North, but the GTA area and the eastern half of the province, where you got Ottawa, it's kind of like your coastal cities in the United States. The Ontario Provincial Police have released a public statement in which they acknowledge that they were investigation underway regarding the video. According to Joe Warmington at the Toronto Sun, oh no, the Sun's good, sorry, I was mistaking that for the Star. Officer involved has been reassigned to administrative duties while the investigation is conducted. That is the right thing to do, and would I shed a tear if he lost his badge over this one? Of course not, of course not. So yeah, we'll see if anything else comes out about that one. But I had to share that with you because it was just so disgusting, and there's no need for that one, okay? I don't like to be a pearl-clutching moralizer. Like, I see a video like that, I think that there's got to be more context to it. But at the end of the day, that's a 12-year-old kid out by himself, really not harming anybody, unless, of course, something happened beforehand. But to knock him off his Razor scooter because he's probably being lippy, maybe he says you look like a bitch with your face diaper on. He probably also doesn't think anybody's videotaping him at that point, and he can get away with everything. Because, you know what? Cops are like that. Cops can be fucking dickheads. That's why, like I said, I don't ascribe to the every cop is great or every cop is a bastard. I look at everybody as individuals. I know how quaint and how cliche that sounds, but sometimes you just got to state the obvious. And in this case, this cop bad. Cop from first video, very good. Great shot. Hopefully he teaches shooting someday to the rest of the force. But what else is going on in Canada? Well, the Trudeau government does not want you to get better. They don't want the economy to get better. They just want to keep you sick, afraid, scared, because then they control you. Because the Trudeau government don't call vaccines a treatment for COVID. Don't call them a cure either. Don't call them anything. I don't know. Okay, if we aren't going to define what they are, why should we be taking them? Okay? If they aren't a treatment, if there's nothing to be gained from them, why do you keep pushing them down our throat? Or in our arm in this case. Oh my god. Internal emails and Trudeau's government nixed a social media post touting vaccines as a treatment for COVID-19. Erica Zarul, sure. Communications advisor with Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada, I said. Ugh. Way too close to ingsoc, wrote to fellow staffer Stephanie Burnett Landry looking for an approval of the proposed departmental tweet on October 22nd, 2020. The email described the tweet and read in part, we'd like to tweet out the following tomorrow's announcement. GOC announces funding for 2 COVID-19 vaccine candidates, keeping Canada at the forefront of the global race to find a treatment to a couple of people. Burnett Landry replied to caution using the description of a COVID therapy. Treatments would be associated with a therapy. These firms are doing vaccine candidates. Staffer Rodrigo Arcibia knows best, but maybe we use words like fight or prevent or combat COVID-19. That's interesting. What did they know? Okay, let's just take those couple of lines apart, okay? A vaccine is used to fight, prevent, or combat the illness. Do they know it's not as effective as advertised? Because by the 22nd of October, you were in the late stages of vaccine development. They weren't announced until, like a week or 10 days after the election was happening in the United States. All the results were coming back and they were 95% efficable. So what, because it wasn't 100%, that's only going to be used to fight? Or none of that makes sense. Like, again, I've got to reach from here to the end of the block in order to come up with some legitimate reason why they'd want to put that sort of information on there instead of treatment, which would be more accurate, which is still a decent catch-all anyways. So eventually they just settled on the GOC announces funding for 2 COVID vaccine candidates, supporting Canada's capabilities in leading-edge vaccine technology. Just using more words to put out the same sort of sentiment. So it might not seem like much, but it's obvious, at least to me. And in covering everything that goes on with the Trudeau government, it's all about image, it's not about substance. And I'm glad to see they take that kind of precaution, especially with their social media outreach, because that is something that is very important to them, because everybody on social media just loves Justin Trudeau. Oh my god, he's so goddamn popular. Have you seen his hair? Oh, and his beard is so relatable. All of those fucking cat piss smelling sycophants who just love the guy. Why? Because, I don't know, he's got dreamy eyes and looks like a bitch next to any other leader. whatever. Keep slipping in the polls, you fruit. Hopefully you can take that needle right up the ass. With that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.